Good morning, folks. Welcome back to Ndaba Africa. This is Chris. Today is the 22nd of October. It's a Thursday, a week since the events in Senegal 2, in the Northern Free State in South Africa. A day in which the leader of the economic freedom fighters exhorted his fighters to attack, tweeted images of weapons like AK-47s, as if anyone's supposed to take that as some sort of ambiguous meaning. This meaning was quite clear. The economic freedom fighters have been toying and trying to goad white South Africans and other minorities into a civil war to force the African National Congress government to crack down and go after minorities in an open fashion rather than in a clandestine fashion. The economic freedom fighters have been trying to goad these folks into a conflict. Seemed like we were close to it on the 16th of October, with some folks reacting what appears to be emotionally, but fortunately cooler heads prevailed, and it didn't happen. But the EFF did their best. They bussed in people from Johannesburg who had absolutely no idea why they were there. When interviewed, completely clueless. We saw a young lady interviewed by Big Daddy Liberty and asked why she was there. She says, for the case. Why are you here? Against racism. What racism? I don't know. Suppose the whites? Yeah, this is lunacy. They come in, they sing their songs of killing the Boer. It's hate speech. No arrest. There have been no arrests in the weeks since then for spreading this hate speech, these hate crimes that are perpetuated by the EFF and its supporters. And they also sing, which is not covered by the mainstream media. We only see these videos after the fact when people start passing them around. But we see one of the key leaders in the economic freedom fighters get up on a podium and start chanting and singing to call the fire brigade, to burn them down, to burn them out, burn the Boers, inciting violence. Well, folks, this started a long time ago with Julius Malema's lies about the history of South Africa, about its minorities, about white South Africans in particular. His vile, disgusting, racist language that's been going on for ages. He gets away with this, not being charged with crimes, being allowed to behave in an utterly despicable fashion. The world sits back and ignores this nonsense. Well, the EFF has declared a race war in South Africa. There can be no doubt about it. Everything that comes out of the mouth is absolute garbage. It's full of hate. It's bile. It's disgusting. And someone in South Africa needs to grow up and be an adult and lay charges and prosecute this behavior. If you have the time to prosecute a woman who's in shock for insulting a police officer by calling him vile names and make her a felon and put her in prison, you ought to have time to prosecute a person for the horrible things that are being said and done by the economic freedom fighters in an effort to instigate a race war in South Africa. See, this is the narrative. A sufficient number of the African National Congress party members are quite comfortable with what the EFF is doing. A significant number of them, because many of them agree fully with what the EFF is doing, because they're racist in their worldview and they're bigoted, and their understanding of history is completely out of touch with reality. We see a sitting member of the African National Congress, member of Parliament, sitting in Parliament, talking about how Jan van Riebeeck came here 2,000 years ago and stole our dignity and stole our land. Okay, well, you weren't there 2,000 years ago, and neither were I. Neither was I. And no Bantus were in South Africa 2,000 years ago. Only the Khoi and San were there 2,000 years ago. Jan van Riebeeck did not rock up in the Cape Town area on the Cape of Good Hope until 1652. 1652, that's about 348 years ago. The Bantu arrived in that part of South Africa in the 19th century, in the Cape of Good Hope. They arrived in South Africa centuries before that, but not until that time. But this idiocy, this lunacy, this vile, despicable hatred that's not covered. You see, the New York Times article came out on the 16th of October. No mention of the 20-minute racist tirade that Julius Malema had, or of this song. Within 48 hours of this song being sung, fires erupted all over the Free State, particularly the northwestern part of the Free State. Over 100,000 hectares, an area the size of the entire country of Sao Tome and Principe, is torched. Thousands of head of livestock destroyed. One farmer with second and third degree burns on a respirator in a hospital, tragically scarred, trying to put these fires out. Farm workers out there trying to put them out. A conflagration for all time. And the fires erupt in other parts all over the country as farms are torched. What are the consequences of the economic freedom fighters? This isn't the beginning of it. This isn't the end of it, that's for sure. But let's roll back the clock just a few days before this nonsense in Senegal happened. What happens before this? Well, Tresemme, a hair products brand, comes out with an ad that's insensitive to some black women. Or maybe to all black women, depends on your view. And the EFF demands that they shut down and they do as the EFF tells them to do. Now, this is a majority black-owned business in South Africa, Clicks. It's a pharmacy or chemist, as they would say in the vernacular of South Africa and the UK, a chemist. And they refuse to accede to these demands. So Julius Malema exhorts his thugs in his political party to go attack Clicks locations. And they do. 44 Clicks locations across South Africa are attacked by EFF supporters, vandalized, destroyed, Molotov cocktails thrown into it. Citizens cannot go and get their medication. They're turned away by these thugs. No charges against Julius Malema for inciting violence and terrorism. Gets away with it. Incites his followers to start a civil war in Senegal. The farming community doesn't bite. And they don't start a war, despite the efforts of the EFF, throwing rocks at innocent bystanders, knocking a motorcyclist off his bicycle, intimidating, attacking a young man for wearing an African National Congress t-shirt, ripping the shirt off his body, threatening bodily harm, intimidating. Thuggish behavior. And the world says nothing. The world sits back. It does nothing. While the economic freedom fighters, a domestic terrorist organization, disguised as a political party, burns, loots, and murders in South Africa. Murders? Did I say they murdered the party? I didn't say the party murdered. They're inciting these things. Absolutely inciting violence in South Africa. That's what the economic freedom fighters are doing. A political party doesn't incite its followers to violence. That's not a political party. That's a terrorist organization. And why the South African government sits on the sidelines and does nothing about it is beyond comprehension. It's high time for the world to react. Where is the South African Human Rights Commission? What a fraudulent body that is. Wasting hours chasing down a fraudulent claim against Eben Etzebeth in the build-up to the Rugby World Cup. Yet people murdered, their lives taken from them, the ultimate human life taken from them, and nothing said by the Human Rights Commission. Nothing said about the activities of Julius Malema, Floyd Chivumbu, or the economic freedom fighters, inciting people to violence, calling people to arms. For what? What are you fighting for? You won the revolution. Majority rule in South Africa, 26 years of feckless, incompetent majority rule. But you've got majority rule. So what is it you want? As you roll around wearing your Rolexes and your nice little cars and your fancy blue light escorts, Julius Malema, what is it you're looking for here? Other than to spew hatred and bile against other South Africans, denying them their ultimate dignity and their human rights. Human Rights Commission, not there. Where's the African Union? Totally silent. Where is the Southern African Development Community? Totally silent. Where is the United Nations? Totally silent. Where is London, Washington, Paris, Tokyo? Completely silent on the plight of South Africans. Well, make no mistake, folks, the economic freedom fighters get away with anything that they desire. They flaunt the law. There is no rule of law with these clowns around. This group that is not a political party, but it's exciting and exhorting people to violence, that's what terrorists do. And the government of South Africa sits by, allows it to happen, and does nothing about it. Very simple solution to this. Charges preferred, case closed. Very large body of prima facie evidence in order to convict for those charges. Well, folks, if you're not a subscriber to Chris White Africa, take a moment, think about becoming a subscriber by smashing that subscription button right down there at the bottom of the screen. Be sure to toggle the bell icon so you get notified of any updates or live streams upcoming. And if you don't mind, you feel free to leave a comment to the video if you agree or disagree or have something to add. Just be polite. And finally, smash the like button because likes drive viewership. Thanks a lot for your support, folks. God bless. Have a good day. Let's wake up the world about the horrors unfolding in South Africa in this race war that the economic freedom fighters have declared against South Africans. And make no mistake, it's against all South Africans. The target today is white farming South Africans, but the target is actually everyone. Thanks, folks.